Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Megan Glova. Well, from faulty carbon monoxide detectors to flammable children's sleepwear, hazardous packages could be reaching your doorstep. Joining us now with this important Five on Your Side update is WRAL's Chris Lovingood. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. So tell us a bit more about the concern with certain packages coming out of China, and plus where the Consumer Product Safety Commission fits into all this.
So whereas China is like the main place that the concerns are coming from, I do know that there are other places as well, at least from some of the experts I've talked to. But the concern is that there's something in the U.S. law in terms of like importing stuff that is basically, as lawmakers see it, being exploited. It's called the Minimus Threshold. Five on Your Side's Keely Arthur, she did this very detailed story about this back in January, and I essentially followed up on this recently. But basically, when you send something to the United States, if the value of that item is $800 or less, basically you kind of avoid getting like some inspections with it, right? And so that's the concerns with a lot of people, is that you have these things that are coming into the country. You know, you look into it and it's like, its value is less than $800, then especially if it's being shipped to the customer. That's the other thing too about like websites like Shein and Temu.
Mm-hmm.
When you order something, it's going like direct to the customer.
Right.
So that's the other element of this as well, and that's the concern. And lawmakers essentially say that this loophole that companies like Temu and Shein are exploiting needs to be closed because you're getting these harmful products, as you mentioned there, the faulty carbon monoxide detectors, the sleepwear that are flammable, that don't have the protections necessary on it. I think there is even hair dryers without electrocution protection. And so one of the concerns that I talked to Democrat Wiley Nickel, he was saying that you have these items that are coming in and it's threatening the safety of American citizens.
Yeah, and these are very popular websites nowadays. How many packages are we talking, and are they specific to Temu, Shein, or is this much broader than that?
So there's this rare company, you may not have heard of it, called Amazon. No, I'm teasing. But no, Amazon, it was actually recently slapped with this order from the Consumer Product Safety Commission. That was back on July 30th, where basically the company is being held responsible for hazardous products sold by third parties on the platform. And if you've ever been on Amazon and you look for, hey, I'm looking for a battery charger, and like the name of the company is like LTWNZ, it just doesn't seem like it's a name.
Very obscure.
Yeah, just obscured random numbers. Like, it's most likely going to be a company that is overseas, possibly likely in China. And what happened was, after this order was slapped, I went back to go look for images of these items. And lo and behold, when you go to Amazon, you can't find them, at least from these specific manufacturers. And I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce their names because there's just random characters that are in it. But last year, for example, we're talking about 1 billion packages that managed to make it into the country using the de minimis threshold kind of deal. And mind you, right now, it's, for beginning of September, and there are, at last check, I believe 700, I said 700, let me think. I think it's 700 million packages so far. So we're getting very close to like the 1 billion mark already. Will we hit that? Not quite sure, but it's a lot.
Right, and still not the end of the year yet. Christmas still around the corner.
You're shopping, holiday shopping, Christmas, Hanukkah, et cetera. I mean, there's plenty of time for us to hit that. And I think that's, the more we keep seeing, and there's like a sheet on the U.S. Border Patrol and U.S. Customs website where it shows you a chart, and you will see an increase of these packages using this. And I can't remember quite when Temu started to become very popular, but the last couple of years, you will notice like, oh yeah, there is a significant increase, and then you hit the 1 billion, and it's like, are we going to be 1.1 billion this year? What are we going to be at?
And then technically this is legal, which is probably the most
it's not technically part. It is legal. Like it's 100% legal. And I think that's the part that's concerning lawmakers, right? You have this law that was put in, I believe it was an Obama era rule that was placed in, but it's essentially, as lawmakers are seeing it, it's kind of a way for companies to exploit, overseas companies specifically to exploit, sending stuff into the United States and potentially harmful stuff. That's the big concern. And when you have this loophole that exists, and lawmakers, and not just Republicans, not just Democrats, this is a bipartisan effort trying to make this bill a reality. And they're insisting like, hey, we really need to close this loophole because we're going to possibly see more Americans being harmed, and not even just physically. If like, it's a hair dryer that doesn't have a protection for someone to be electrocuted. but financially or economically, one argument that one lawmaker I talked to said that he makes is that these companies overseas, they sell these things for like super cheap, right? So, oh, here's this, these pairs of shoes, they're $5. What a deal. Or
Right.
this cool knickknack for $10. It would cost me 10 times as much elsewhere. Well, they keep selling all these products, and it's taking business away potentially from American businesses. And so that's the concern there as well. They're sending this stuff purposely. They're offering them for lower prices to reduce business that's being brought in from other competitors, including American businesses.
The appeal of these sites is how cheap the stuff is. So not everyone is going to be convinced to stop shopping on these sites, but what does the Consumer Product Safety Commission recommend at this point?
So, to my understanding, they put these orders that are out most recently against Amazon. I think it was about a month ago, where essentially saying that they can be held responsible for these harmful products that third-party companies are selling. I think mostly it's just being aware of. That's what I take. Just being aware of what you're buying and being alert. That's why they have these alerts that go out. Consumer Reports is also very good about that. Obviously, not a government agency, but sort of a consumer watchdog, and they encourage you just to know what you're buying. Like, have you been to Temu before? You ever been to the website?
I've not to Temu, but Shein. I've definitely been to Shein's website, and
Right.
it just looks too sketchy for me personally to put my credit card information in there.
Temu, if you ever go to Temu's website, one of the first things is every once in a while, I may be scrolling through social media a little too fast, and I will hit the website. And when you typically, and this is my experience, whenever I go to Temu, one of the first things that I see when I go to the website is there's a little spinny wheel that pops up. A little spinny wheel, and it's like, oh, you get this percent off.
Discounts.
It looks like it's a game or something of the sort. And I
Right.
think for a lot of people, one of my cousins, she is an avid Temu shopper. It's. I ask, well, why do you shop on this website? I'm just curious. And she goes, it's cheap.
Mhm.
And think about where we are economically right now, right? Like inflation, record highs. We could see that cut soon, but record highs right now. And so that the cheapness, the price point, that is what I believe is enticing so many people. But with that being the case, that's why lawmakers are like, this is concerning. Like, they're sending some things that are a little shady into the country, and that's the whole point of this bill. It's going to do a bunch of different things. But I won't bore people with legalese, but essentially what they want to do is tighten up this loophole. I think they want to change the $800 to something different so it can be scrutinized a lot easier. But also, they want to make sure that U.S. Customs is checking where this is coming from, who sent it, that kind of thing. Because that way, if you don't know where these potentially harmful products are coming in, how can you trace it back to the source?
Yeah.
So will that happen? I mean, again, this bill, it was introduced, at least the version I've seen, was introduced last summer. And here we are near the tail end of our summer of 2024, and it's still kind of sitting in committee for now. But with the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission essentially calling for, Shein and Temu to kind of be investigated because of some harmful products it's been selling, including to babies, could we see the law move along? Maybe. I mean, that's one thing that we're watching in our enterprise team.
And we'll hear much more about this tonight on WRAL News. Chris, thanks so much, and thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL News is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.